One product that has become an invaluable tool in my studio for quite some time now is the incredible ARC system from my friends over at IK Multimedia. You may ask what the ARC system is. It's their acoustic room correction software. Well, it originally started as software, and then recently it was integrated into their iLoud Precision series of monitors, which I'm very proud to use here in my studio. And this has been one of the finest upgrades to my studio, allowing mixes to translate so much better, to create better tones all around, and I really love working with these. Previous to having the iLoud Precision monitors, I've had many other sets of fine monitors that I would utilize the ARC plugin. So the last version of this was ARC 3. And the way this worked is you would use a measurement microphone much like this that would be included with certain levels of the ARC system that you would purchase. And you utilize this with the ARC analysis software to measure your mixing position in your room to then be able to apply corrective filtering to your monitors so your mixes would translate better. And I can attest to the fact that this works very, very well. And I was always so happy with it. So when they announced the iLoud Precisions last year, I was extremely excited. I added a set to my studio and I've never looked back. The one downfall maybe to the previous ARC system though was that you always had to utilize it as a plug-in, maybe putting it on the master bus of your DAW so that you could then feed that to your monitoring system and hear the room correction applied. While this worked great, it was a little bit of a clumsy thing to do at times. Well, today I'm happy to announce that the folks at IK Multimedia have just released their new ARC Studio, which is going to work in conjunction with their ARC 4 software. You may ask what ARC Studio is. Well, it is this little standalone box, and I must say it's a really killer addition to anybody who wants to be able to add the ARC room correction system to their existing studio without having to go only the software plug-in route. So the ARC Studio allows us to analyze our room with the included measurement microphone and then load that into a piece of software. We hook ARC Studio up via USB so that we can load the room correction file onto ARC Studio. We basically come out of our audio interface into ARC Studio, back out of ARC Studio into our studio monitors, and we will always have this room correction applied to whatever monitors we choose to use. A really wonderful addition and upgrade to this already incredible product. Now, while this is not an easy thing to show how great the results are on camera, you would have to be sitting here in my room with me to hear the results. I can take you through how we would set this up and then how we would utilize ARC 4 to be able to control the overall sound that we're hearing coming out of our monitors. So let's do that right now. So first things first, after we install the ARC 4 system, what we're going to want to do is open up the ARC 4 system analysis software, and you will be welcomed with this screen, which shows a picture of the microphone that is included with ARC Studio that I showed you before. Once we're here, we can simply proceed by hitting next. Now it's going to ask us to choose which measurement mic we're using. There are previous versions of the ARC mic that were included with previous versions of the ARC system. We are going to be choosing, and the one that's chosen by default is the ARC MEMS mic model, which is included with ARC Studio. We can select any one of these that's appropriate, but this is the one we will be using with ARC Studio. So we click next. Now we're going to choose our audio interface. So you can see mine is selected here. I'm going to choose the output that is going to have my studio monitors connected to them. And then I'm going to choose the input where I'm going to have the measurement mic plugged into. Now I'm not going to be going through the entire measurement for this video. It doesn't really serve any purpose. So I actually have this set to the microphone that I'm speaking into right now for the voiceover. As you can see as I'm speaking, you see the signal here. If I was going to actually do the measurement now in this input, I would have the ARC Studio measurement microphone hooked into this input, or I would select the microphone input that it is in. So once I have that selected properly, I can go to next. Now here is where we're going to choose a little bit of information about how we want this set up in our studio. We could have a project studio where maybe we have desktop monitors. We can have a studio much like what I would have here, which is a monitor spot where I'm going to be usually mixing from with maybe 2 speakers that are on speaker stands. Or we could choose a wider area if we have 2 people in the mixing position. We can have mixing position and back area. And we can also have the movie studio home theater setting. So depending on what we are trying to accomplish with this, we'll choose our appropriate setting. Mine will be studio monitor spot. I then click next, and it's going to give us a little bit of information about how to properly position the microphones. Over here, it's showing our mixing position based off of what I chose, and it has this standard equilateral triangle, and it's telling us to position the microphone horizontally, approximately close to our ears. Once we understand this, we can click through next, and it's going to ask us to play a test to make sure that the levels are set correctly for ARC4 to do the proper analysis. Now, you'll notice, as I've already mentioned, I'm speaking into this and the level is showing up as correct. I will probably, when I play the test, have to boost this level up quite a bit to get the test tone to sit in correct, but it's going to be very important that we get this set properly. You'll notice the next button is grayed out until we play this test signal and get our levels set correctly. So let's try this out, and I'll raise this up to the appropriate level. As you can see, once I got the levels correct, it played for a couple more seconds and it told me I was done. The next button is now functional. I can click through that and move on over to the next step, where we're going to choose either quick mode or advanced mode. So the quick mode is going to be a single layer measuring 7 different points in total. And advanced mode is going to be more accurate with 3 layers measured at 21 points in total at different heights. So the layers are going to be different heights where that microphone is going to be placed and measured. So if it was up to me, I would be choosing the advanced mode. Let's get this done correctly and the most accurate way possible. It's going to take a little longer, but I think in the end it's going to be worth it. We then click through the next button, and since I chose the 21 point or more advanced room analysis, you'll notice it's telling me layer 1 approximately 6 inches below ear level, layer 2 is ear level, layer 3 is 6 inches above ear level. Now, if I had gone back here and chosen just the 7 points, what we would have had is measure a single layer. So whatever we choose, it's going to instruct us how to go about doing this. So I hit next. Now I'm not going to go any further here. It's going to tell me to measure layer 1, and I would do that and then move the microphone and measure all of the layers as is needed. After that, I would save my results, and then it's going to export a file, which we will then load into the ARC4 software. Now, I obviously haven't loaded a file in there for this purpose because there really isn't any purpose. You're not going to hear what I'm hearing in the studio here, but I can show you the features of the ARC4 software. So starting at the top here, we have a choice between natural phase or linear phase. We have little buttons that we can engage and disengage, and this is showing the measurement of our room before any correction was applied. You're not seeing anything because I haven't actually loaded in a correction file. The target is going to be what we're trying to get it to sound like, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And then after is showing how much correction has been applied and what we're actually listening to. So it's not going to necessarily be able to correct it absolutely perfectly to the target, but it's going to get it as close as it can. We can also edit that curve here in a custom manner by going to the edit button up top. So we can edit the curves however we want as well, but we can also just go back to some of the default settings that we have. And in edit mode, I can do a lot of different tweaks here. And I can also play around with this and just also hit the reset button that's going to take it back to where we had it. If we're in the play mode, though, we can also go down to the target menu here, and we can have different presets that are kind of ready to go. We have default, which gives a little low shelf EQ of a couple dB from about 200 hertz and down. We could have it perfectly flat. We can have one called standard control room, lively room, and you can see the curves that it's applying to the finished product. Lively room 2, control room contour, Dolby Atmos target, warm tilt, bright tilt, and we can also, in our edit mode here, mess around with these and save them to our own custom curves as well. But we'll just talk about flat for now. So let's say we are here working with the flat target. We also have a virtual monitoring setup, which I think may be one of the most interesting and useful features of ARC4. We can pull this down and you'll see that a menu of different studio monitors, hi-fi speakers, and multimedia situations will come up here. And we can then cross-check our mixer, our tones, whatever we're working on, as if we're listening to them on different monitors. So you can see here, iLoud MM, iLoud MTM, yellow 5, probably a KRK speaker, white 80s, probably a Yamaha speaker. And we can choose those and cross-reference our mixes if we're listening to them in our room on different speakers. We can also mimic the way they would sound on, let's say, a bookshelf speaker, a coaxial speaker, or a floor standing speaker, as well as on a TV, a smartphone, or a portable Bluetooth speaker. And you can see as I go through these, it's going to give me the EQ curve that it's going to use to correct it for my room. So that is a very useful feature that I have really utilized a lot here. We also have metering pre or post correction. We have the correction on and off, and when we turn it on, we're going to get the corrected sound. When we turn it off, we are not going to get it. And if we get any clipping, we can just use the trim control to back things off here. Well, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that look at this brand new addition from my friends over at IK Multimedia. As I mentioned before, adding the ARC system in its various previous formats was one of the biggest upgrades I've ever done to my studio. The iLoud Precision monitors that have the ARC system integrated right with them are an incredible addition to any studio, but for those who have monitors that they're happy with, that want to be able to apply the ARC system to those monitors without maybe always fiddling around with plugins, the ARC Studio is going to be a spectacular addition. So I hope you enjoyed that look at this great new product. I'm going to have a link below. It is an affiliate link if you wanted to grab yourself one of these new ARC Studios. I get a little kickback from the folks at IK Multimedia for anybody who purchases by clicking through my link, and it does help support the channel's greatly appreciated. Today I'm going to leave you with one of the demo videos from one of my IK Multimedia tone partners, ToneX Tone Model Collections, that is available over on ToneNet. I hope you enjoy the music on the way out. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. Please like the video, share it with anybody you think would get some use or enjoyment out of watching it, and also please subscribe to the channel. Hit the little bell notification to get notified when I have new content out. I'll be back really soon with some more. Thank you guys again so much for tuning in. Ciao for now.